Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Galen Snyder Show. I'm Vince Reed. Our show is brought to you by Aria Health, your neighbors in Lower Bucks County, and also by Peruzzi, Buick GMC, located on Business Route 1 in Langhorne. Well, we've hit the halfway point, played 5 games so far this year, 5 more remaining, so we start the second half of the season. And really, when it comes down to it, Pennsbury now at 3-2, and they're coming in, of course, undefeated in the Suburban 1 League National Conference. And they have the game of the week in the National Conference this week as well, as they'll be the homecoming team for the Saturday night ball game, taking on the Galloping Ghosts of Abington. And it should be interesting, Coach, coming into this ball game before we get to that big Abington game coming up. But let's take a look back a little bit at the Monday night game that you played. It was a unique situation for you there, is having to play on a Monday night. What does that mean for you as far as that goes, coaching this team, getting them ready for the next ball game when you know they didn't have their Saturday and Sunday off?
Well, that's the tough part about it. Playing Monday night, good crowd. Good atmosphere for a game, so the kids enjoy that aspect. But obviously, when you play Friday night, you have a weekend to prepare for the following week, and following this game to rest up and things of that nature. And you don't get that, so you get a shortened week. Fortunately, we're playing on Saturday night, which makes it a little bit better.
When you take a look at this last ball game, let's take a look at the Council Rock ball game. You had a game there which you were coming out a victor there and looked very sharp. In some phases, looked really strong. And of course, the team went on to get that win in that game. But you were coming into that ball game now looking to know that now everybody really, you take a look at the team that hadn't won a ball game, so you know they're out to do whatever they could to try to take in a win. And you are up against a ball club that has nothing to worry about as far as that goes, and that is just to go at you. And I think you managed to come through with that one in flying colors.
Well, I agree. I agree on both points. They did do a nice job of coming out and playing a tough game against us. And, we responded and did all the things we had to do. We ran the ball effectively. We completed some big passes. I thought we played sound defense, and we were able to come out on top.
At that ball game itself, you had another great performance by a few guys, as a matter of fact, and one, again, had to be Sean Pepper, who picked up over 200 yards, had himself 3 touchdowns, could have had a 4th, one called back, an 85-yard run because of a penalty, so he didn't get that one. But Sean has been really, when you look at it, one of the bright spots in the entire league.
No doubt, and if he continues, you got to look at him. Well, it's really early to, but when it comes down to lose all league honors, we have a couple guys who really, from what I see, are a couple of the best players in the league.
And of course, one of those two would be a guy you're hoping that's going to be back for you again in this ball game.
Varsity, your hockey game has been canceled today. Girls JV and varsity, your hockey game has been canceled today. So if you're out of class, get back in there.
If you had an opportunity, and that's Daquan Mack got nicked up again a little bit in that last game.
Yeah, he should be all right. He should be fine. Daquan was a little banged up in the beginning of the year, but he's done all the things he needs to do to rehab it, and he should be fine, ready to go.
We're seeing a little bit more with Breon Clark as he comes into his own here and continues to play and get some more time under his belt here with this ball club. And certainly threw a beautiful pass there that had for a touchdown that he threw there. He had one to Chaudhry for a TD, and then the one, of course, where right down the middle, perfectly thrown there, leading Sean Pepper, who had at least 5 yards on the nearest guy, and he just laid it out there for him. He's thrown a couple of really good balls.
He has, and he gives us that ability, if once everybody walks up, to stop our running game, to hurt him over the top, big play. And he's a good athlete, can run the ball as well, and as far as some of the short and medium range passing, we're working on that, and it gets better day to day.
And we're looking too at the defensive side. Your son Luke got an opportunity as just a freshman to start, and I know one of the guys up there was Marty Reed, the guy who does the color with me. And Marty was saying, boy, he just had an outstanding game, plugging up the hole, getting there first, hitting guys right there at the line of scrimmage, trying to come through the hole. He seems to be a guy, just a freshman, who really knows how to play this game.
Well, yeah, he had a nice game, and some weight on him over the next few years. But you know, so did a lot of other guys. I thought Sakeem Stewart played very well.
Yeah.
Chad Henser, Brendan Campbell from the safety spot made a lot of plays. So there were a number of guys who stood out defensively.
Well, I was wondering, you also use Tommy Hose's brother a little bit there too, and he's just a youngster too. He's another 9th grader.
Yeah, Dalton. You know, Dalton's been a good player for a lot of years. You know, he and my son played down together at Charles Maine. You know, he's a kid who's really going to be a standout runner for us in the near future.
I know Sakeem Stewart, we were pointing out after the ball game, we were talking, and we were saying that, you know, he really can hit you hard, played a very good ball game, has a tendency after the play is over to be a little too excited, and you worry about whether or not he's going to draw a penalty or not.
Well, he's not the only one. We have a few guys like that, and, you know, they play, you know, they have a lot of intensity, they're tough kids, and sometimes that goes a little too far, so kind of keep trying to pull back the reins and settle them down.
Yeah, that's important, especially a game like this. You don't need unnecessary penalties against you. You got to get everything you can against this Abington team. Let's talk about this Abington ball club a little bit. You know, seeing them come into the league. I think what they have done here this year is they improved from what they did the first couple of weeks of the season. Seem to be like any other ball club that's going to be good at the end of the year, getting a little better as they go.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. I think you know, they had probably a decent turnover in seniors from last year. They had some really good senior players, and you know, and they struggled a little bit early on, but not too much. And you know, now they're playing pretty good football.
You've got Dylan Collins, who's the quarterback, and Craig Reynolds. They've been doing a lot the last couple of ball games for them. What do you see as the things that kind of stopped them as far as that goes? That Collins himself throwing and Reynolds and the rest of them running.
Well, I mean, they're going to, you know, run their style of offense, which is, you know, have the quarterback is another running back,
right,
along with the running back. So those are your two main carriers, which permits them to basically put another guy out that you have to cover. So, you know, it's their scheme, their typical scheme they've been with for the last couple of years anyway. Since when Morton was there, they were a little more under center. You know,
yeah.
As far as that goes, and you know, so a little more spread philosophy now than for the last couple of years, and you know, they're getting better.
How about their defense? From what you've seen, you know, you take a look at their defense the last couple of years. What you see so far this year from either in person or possibly on tape?
Well, defensively, they seem to be a little smaller than last year. I think they, you know, made an adjustment going to an odd front, so with 3 down linemen and you know, more linebackers on the field. They did do this, I would say, back in 08. They're in an odd front. Usually they're an even front team, so that you know, that's an adjustment we had to make this week during practice.
When you have this ball club coming in, it's been a really battle when it comes to you and Abington. You look over the last 4 years, I would say at least, to where this thing has been a close ball game right down to the very end.
Well, it even goes back further than that. You know, if you look back even to the 05 season, you know, where we beat them and they went for 2 at the end of the game to try to beat us. So it's been a number of years. 06, we had the 2. 06 was like last year, and then we had the regular season game with them and then the playoff game. So, yeah, we're pretty familiar with one another.
Yeah, of course, when you're in the league like that and you're up against one another, and you take a look at what's been happening in the league, you know, when they talk about the fact that you got to be ready every week because someone in this league can upend you. I think we've seen that already in a few ball games. So I would think that knowing that you two teams are 2 of the ones that are expected to vie right to the end for the championship of the league, and then you look at the rest of your schedule where you see what's happening along the way, you got to be ready for every game because some people are popping up and knocking off some people they're not supposed to, you might say.
No doubt, no doubt. It's high school football. They're kids. You know, emotion plays a part of the game. Momentum plays a part of the game. Obviously, turnovers is a big factor. Penalties, things of that nature. So there's a lot that goes into a high school game, and you know, when the teams are fairly evenly matched, anything can happen.
All right, we're being brought to you by Aria Health, your neighbors in Lower Bucks County, and also by Peruzzi, Buick, and GMC, located on Business Route 1 in Langhorne with the Galen Snyder Show. Galen, we started out the year, of course, remember with the Easton ball game, you had just one guy with any kind of seasoning coming back, and that was me in the center. And right now, you made those changes. You've made those changes almost every year. You've had to because of graduation of guys on your line. But this year, you're kind of at that point now. You're halfway through the season. You made changes, but you're kind of settling in. You even have some youngsters on that offensive line.
We do. As I was saying last week, you know, we have Sam Raywood and Alston O'Neill, who are 2 sophomores. So right now they're starting at our offensive tackles. And of course, we have 2 juniors and 2 seniors, including the tight end. So, you know, we have a diverse front, and you know, it's nice that, you know, come back next year, we'll just have to replace 2 of the guys as opposed to all 6.
All of them. Yeah, exactly. What a difference that would be for you, having to spell a few guys and try to find out, you know, to fill those holes rather than almost the entire line as far as that goes. But right now, when you do have a guy who can throw the ball, and Clark right now, and he's been throwing the ball well to a couple of receivers now, with Chaudhry getting a TD. But you got Simpson in there, and you got Bolero in there. You really have a couple of guys now that undoubtedly can catch that ball for you.
No doubt, and we continue to work on our passing game in practice. And I think you're going to see even a little more of it as we go on here.
When you start out this ball game, I know you'll be starting out with that lineup. That will it include at the beginning of the ball game in all probability, or have to wait till the last minute as far as Daquan Mack is concerned?
No, I think Daquan's going to be good to go, so he'll be out there.
One thing we've seen a little bit more of, I think, this time, and we pointed out, was the fact that Chuck Snorway seemed to get a little bit more of that speed back, the quickness to where he hit the hole better a few times and trying to get to the outside than what we saw earlier in the year.
Yeah, Charles, I'll tell you what, he's done a real nice job blocking. A lot of those holes that Shawnee was running through, not only is it the line and the tight end, but it's the back on the other side, which is
right.
Charles. And the same thing with Daquan. That lead play that we run, a lot of times that's Charles leading through the hole.
Right.
So, that's a big part of being a player in this community offense, is being able to block, and Charles is doing a nice job.
Tom from Mooresville says that Aria Health's emergency department saved his life. Recently, while playing golf, Tom experienced cardiac arrest, and the ambulance took him to Aria Health Bucks County campus, where Dr. Emmerich and his team of doctors and nurses took fast action and literally brought Tom back to life. Dr. Emmerich visited Tom frequently, answered all his questions, even gave him his phone number. Led by Dr. Harry Emmerich, the emergency department at Aria Health Bucks County provides 24/7 care in a leading-edge environment. To learn more about Tom's story at Aria Health Bucks County, visit ariahealth.org/Tom. That's ariahealth.org/Tom.
Hi, this is Larry at Peruzzi Buick GMC. You'll hit a home run every weekend at Peruzzi Buick GMC Service Department. Every Saturday and Sunday, Peruzzi Buick GMC is offering a standard oil and filter change for just $19.95. And remember, Peruzzi Buick GMC is open every Sunday from 8 to 5. Peruzzi Buick GMC is the home of the $34.95 Pennsylvania State and Emissions Inspection every day of the week. No matter where you purchase your car or truck, you can get it serviced 7 days a week at Peruzzi Buick GMC. And remember, we're open Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So far this year is your guys have been able to pick off some passes. That's been a big part right now. You got about at least 4 I know of, or 5 that they've been able to pick off in that secondary.
Well, we have some good players, some experienced players back there with Tony Donovan, and hopefully we have Simpson working back in. Ryan Muse played a little bit last year, so there's some guys back there that we have more confident in.
Yeah, I think they're improving as the season has gone along as well, and helping that defense get a little stronger each and every game. When you come up to a game here like this with Abington, and knowing the big part of it is here, you've got one of the tougher teams you're going to play in the league, at least on paper it says so anyway. But when you look at this ball game, it won't be the turning point as far as it goes for either one of you. I don't think, as to whether or not you make it all the way to the end of the season as fighting for the championship, because I think anybody right now is looking at the possibility of being ready every week. But Abington is the first big test for you in the league this time around. It would be a feather in your cap to get this big win against them and be able to take home another big one.
No doubt, no doubt. Both teams are 2-0 right now in the league, and we're as it sits right now, we're the only teams that are 2-0. Everybody else has, I think, a win and a loss. So it should be interesting. You know, they're a good ball club, and you know, obviously, if you win it, you go 3-0, and you know, that's a big step forward.
And of course, you know, we'll look ahead to even further along, and that's a big step for you guys as well to try to make it into the playoff competition, because as you know, it looks like this year, the way the teams are, and not only here but in other areas, a fight for spots at the end to get into the district playoffs at the end of the season looks like it's going to come down to some very close finishes.
Well, yeah, we got in, I guess we were 15th seed last year at 7-3, and you know, we had a pretty good team. We ended up making it to the final 8, district final 8, actually final 4.
Final 4, yeah.
Final 4. So, you know, we barely got in. So, you know, hopefully we don't have to go 7-3. Hopefully we'll get into.
I know one of the things that should be good for teams like yours that take on really tough competition in the non-conference part of your schedule is that next year they're going to give you credit for those wins that the other team gets. Right now, if you lose to a ball club, you don't get credit for all the other wins that they have. But I think it's more fair next year that they're going to make it to a point where you lose to an Easton, you lose to a Downingtown East, you'll get their points. Right now, you'd be sitting pretty with that. They're both undefeated here halfway through the season. But certainly, I think that's another thing that maybe to get some of these other schools, play some schools that are on par with them.
Yeah, I think it actually will help, you know, because obviously playing good competition, you'll have good records, and you'll get some of that back, even if you lose to them. And that might even encourage more teams to try to pick us up, you know, from the suburban, which would be good.
And it certainly would be good. And of course, you want to see any other good team that you want to play, you'd like to see them come in. Of course, in having Easton and a Downingtown East in the schedule, and Frankfort as well, all the champions last year in their own leagues, it certainly bodes well for how you're going to do in the regular season. I was mentioning that with the fact that a game I saw this weekend had the same thing as Archbishop Carroll was playing Conwell Egan, and Carroll wasn't looking good against tough competition. They had been beaten badly a couple of times, but then they got back to where they were playing in their own division in AA and showed what they can do.
Well, yeah, there's another example of, you know, you step up your competition, hopefully it makes you better, and then it prepares you for what you're going to face down the line.
You're taking in a homecoming ball game for this one tonight. What does that matter that much as far as that goes? The team gets psyched up a little more with the idea that the festivities going around and getting an opportunity to play before a homecoming crowd?
Usually it does. Usually, you know, it fires the kids up, gets them pumped up. You know, the only thing you got to worry about is getting them a little too pumped up, in which case sometimes you're prone to making mistakes. But as long as they can keep it in some perspective, I think you know it's a good thing to play.
All right, so we're going to be seeing the Pennsbury Falcons against the Galloping Ghost of Abington in what should be a really good ball game here. And of course, a big one for both, as they're both undefeated in the Suburban 1 League National Conference. The Galen Snyder Show brought to you by Aria Health, your neighbors in Lower Bucks County, and also by Peruzzi, Buick, and GMC, located on Business Route 1 in Langhorne. Coach, good luck here in this ball game against the Galloping Ghost. It should be a dandy between you and Abington.
All right, thanks, Vince.
And we're going to wrap it up here for the Galen Snyder Show. Get set for the football game, as it should be a good one. Everybody wants to be able to get in on this one. And of course, we have something extra for you this time around, and that is on the internet. We're going to be putting the game on the internet as well. So you'll get to see the action of the homecoming game between Pennsbury and Abington as well. And we look forward to seeing exactly how that comes out as well. It's our first time trying it, and hopefully everything goes well. You might be seeing a lot of more ball games on the internet as well, to watch them as well as to listen to them. For the Galen Snyder Show, I'm Vince Reed.